Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Wednesday, June 15th. So we have the moon in Capricorn all day. Of course, we're still in the full moon energy. We will be in that for the next 2 days for sure. But of course, the moon in Capricorn grounds us out, brings us back down to reality, has us focused on what it is that we have control over in the here and now. We're focused on our to-do list. We're ready to recognize where it is that we need to be more responsible and accountable for our actions. We're recognizing where it is that we have to be a little bit more disciplined in order to actually put our, let's call them ducks in a row, and actually start bringing certain elements to life. So there are 12 different aspects here today. 10 of them involve the moon. We have a pretty powerful aspect taking place here early morning between Mars and Chiron. We'll be talking about that as well. But just keep in mind that the full moon energy that we just had yesterday, again, if you haven't listened to that astro forecast, please go ahead and listen to that. This is setting us up for the next lunar cycle. This is day one of this particular lunar cycle, and we have a lot of work to do. So right out of the gate, we have Venus in her place of power in Taurus energy, focused on the here and now, focused on our happiness, our joy, our pleasure, focused on where we need safety, security, especially in our emotions, but mostly in our physical circumstances right now. Semi-squaring, which is a conflict, with Jupiter, who is in Aries. Jupiter, of course, the planet of growth and expansion, blessings, abundance. He is the ruler over the full moon in Sagittarius that we just had. So he's kind of on a power trip right now. And this is amplifying, this is magnifying not only our thoughts, our emotions, but it's shining a bright light on our physical current circumstances and showing us what it is that we want more of. Now, this gets a little bit dangerous for a couple of reasons. Yes, we need and desire change. Yes, we want to start something new. Yes, we want more out of life. We want more love. We want more money. We want more safety, security, stability, connection, value, worth, mission, purpose. We want all of that. But sometimes when we're focused on what it is that we want more of, we get stuck in a scarcity mindset, a lack of mindset, recognizing that we don't have all of that right now. Now, here's the trick. It is absolutely imperative to be grateful for what it is that you have right now. Many of us are living in circumstances right now that we prayed about just a couple of years ago. And although we may not be happy with our current circumstances, although we may want more for ourselves, we have to appreciate the here and now. We have to have attitude for the gratitude. We have to have that attitude of gratitude in the here and now. There are silver linings in even the darkest of situations. And because Venus, who is about value and worth, very much in her place of power in this Taurus energy, focused on the here and now, our mission is to dream a bigger dream, this Jupiter energy, to identify what it is that we want more of, and to avoid the lack of or scarcity mindset, and instead bring ourselves back to the present moment and say, you know what, I do want more love in my life, but right now I'm grateful for the people that I have, even though they're very, very likely few and far between. These are valuable people. Although I want more money and resources in my future, I am grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I have food in my stomach. Even though I want more of a connection in a relationship in the futuristic vision of my dream, right now, I value the connection that I'm working on and building on with myself. So we cannot lose ourselves in the lack of or scarcity mindset. Now, this is going to illuminate a lot of restlessness because, of course, Jupiter is in Aries. Aries just wants to act now and worry about the consequences later. But we're in too valuable of a time of building and creation this year in 2022 in order to just kind of fly by the seat of our pants. We have to be very strategic, very calculated in the moves that we're making because, especially with Jupiter's energy, what we're building right now is supposed to last us for the next 12-year cycle that it takes for him to move through the zodiac wheel. So it's very imperative that we get a handle on this restlessness, on this want, need, and desire to act on impulse, just to take action and make a move, and just recognize the beautiful opportunity that Jupiter is giving us right now to get that spark kind of, lit on fire within us, to cultivate our passion, to really redefine our desires, so that when we're all on the same page and the universe says, hey, green light, go ahead, we're going to know exactly what we need to do with our energy, time, attention, love, and focus. So the moon is going to go ahead and square Jupiter. This is a tension point. This is a conflict. This is why I say to you, we do not want to lose ourselves in the scarcity or lack of mindset. The moon in Capricorn carries a lot of weight on our heart space. There is this negative Nancy narrative that tends to come in with the Capricorn energy. And this just kind of amplifies that we can lose ourselves very quickly on, not only the scarcity and lack of mindset, but that we can lose ourselves in not even thinking that what it is that we're hoping and dreaming for is even possible. So what we may recognize with Venus and Jupiter making this aspect of what it is that we want to dream up, conjure up, what it is we want to manifest, we want to avoid our emotions getting in the way, talking fear into our dreams, talking us in such realistic tone that it sucks the magic out of this new vision, this new dream that we're trying to kind of conjure up in our minds. The moon goes ahead right afterwards and bumps into Venus. And so as you can see, Venus squares off with Jupiter, then the moon squares off with Jupiter, and now the moon is like, Venus, what in the name, right? What in the name of Jesus are you doing? These current circumstances, they're not okay. We don't feel good. We're not feeling confident. We're not feeling worthy. We're not feeling valuable at all. We're not feeling safe. We're not feeling secure. What are you even doing trying to, pluck the silver linings out and find the good out of the here and now? This is very much, again, negative Nancy coming out to play. Well, Venus is trying to make the best out of the here and now, out of this present moment. The moon bumps into the true note. The true note is our soul's path, our destiny point. Right now, we're not feeling so confident about how it is that we're going to get there. There's this part of us, our intuition, our higher self, our heart space saying, you know what? I believe that a new reality is possible. I believe I'm going to get what I want, need, and deserve. But then the moon over here, which is our unconscious, let's call it ego, lets negative Nancy in here saying, you're not going to get that. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. You're wasting your time. You need to come back down to earth. You need to focus on the here and now. You need to stop living in la la land. We can't do this. We need to constantly be strategizing, using our intuition first and foremost, especially seeing how we're still in this full moon in Sag, which was all about balancing our intuition, our higher self, with the logical and practical mindset of our ego. When those two are balanced and blended, that's when the magic happens. So this is very much a negative Nancy narrative trying to talk us out of the plans, of the dream, of the vision that we should be spending time conjuring up underneath this full moon energy. The moon bumps into Mercury. Mercury, as you know, fresh into Gemini. We just had Mercury retake its power in Throne the day before the full moon. If you haven't listened to that astro forecast, go ahead and do so. This is, again, we're still in the time where we're retracing our steps from the end of April, that first week of May. And Mercury, although still in the post-shadow period of this retrograde, it won't be up to its fullest capacity until the 18th. We're still starting to kind of piece things together here. And again, this full moon energy that we're still in, this was about revealing paths, decisions, choices, revealing truth, revealing wants, needs, and desires. We're still in this revealing situation. Mercury, of course, ruler of the mental plane in Gemini, is still trying to debate out the pros and cons of what it is that we're deciding upon. And the moon bumping into Mercury at this time is actually a good vibe, because it means that we're getting down to the nitty gritty on what it is that we have to figure out, what it is we have to talk about, what it is we have to communicate with confidence and clarity, what it is that we have to provide solutions with. We're really kind of putting the blinders on right now, and we're using our mental power for good. And again, if you'd listened to the astral forecast, you would know up until about this point, we've been looking back, trying to make sense of things that have already happened in order for us to understand our here and now and plan for the future. And now we're at this beautiful crossroads where now we're starting to say, okay, doesn't matter how we got here. Here's where we're at. Where do we want to go from here? Now it's time to come up with some creative solutions. Now it's time to focus on the to-do list. Now it's time to get out of our feels, in our head, engage our body, and actually start doing some of the things that we know we have to do in order to actually move forward. The moon semi-squares Saturn. Saturn rules over Capricorn. Anytime that we're bumping into the ruler of the energy that the moon is currently in, there's always this conflict. There's always this undermining type of energy, and especially where Saturn is the lord of karma, ruling over roles and responsibilities, ruling over soul contracts, ruling over systems, structures, foundations in our lives right now. Saturn is retrograde, meaning we're having to take a good look at the last 12 months, where it is that we were dealt some pretty crappy hands, and whether we bossed up and did what we could with them and are prepared to move on to the next chapter of karmic life lessons, or whether we failed to boss up altogether and we're lacking the discipline to even stand in our power right now, let alone move into something new. Well, this semi-square is a tension point for a reason. This is when we're going to feel the weight of the world on our shoulders, where we're going to feel the squeeze to figure everything out. This is where we are going to feel the weight of the roles and responsibilities that we should be fulfilling, that we are procrastinating because we're no longer in alignment with them. This is when everything kind of gets pressurized. Now pay attention, because as I talked about yesterday, the moon in Capricorn, every month we go through these cycles. The moon in Capricorn is supposed to illuminate to us where we feel blocked, where we feel restricted, where we feel the weight of the world crushing down on our shoulders. This is supposed to illuminate to us where it is that we feel held back. Because when the moon moves into Aquarius, which it will do here shortly, that's when we recognize these confines and we make moves in order to free ourselves, liberate ourselves, find more independence from some of the things that we've identified that are literally just sucking the life out of us. So pay attention to what comes up in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your circumstances that have this like existential dread type of feeling that comes up in relation to them. 10:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon had just entered into this battle royale with Saturn. At the same time, we have Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, even our anger, in Aries, its place of power, where we just want to start something new. We want to initiate a brand new cycle. We want to take action. We want to push forward. We want to have new experiences. Conjunct, which means sitting next to, meeting up with, teaming up with Chiron, the wounded healer, who is also in Aries. Chiron in Aries is exposing to us our egoic wounds, our identity wounds, mostly where the toxic masculine energy that every single one of us has is coming up in order to be healed. Now, the last couple of days, if you listen to the ascension forecast, if you've been listening to these daily energy forecasts, you would know that the last couple of days was supposed to be highlighting for us where it is that we feel frustrated, where it is that we feel angry, where it is that we feel doubts and fears and insecurities, not only because we were approaching a full moon, but because we were approaching this particular aspect, Mars and Chiron. We have to have a breakdown in order to have a breakthrough. We have to have chaos and confusion before we have order and clarity. At this particular moment in time, when Mars and Chiron come together, this is like we are done with the pity party. We are done with the shit show. We are done feeling bad. We are done, just feeling torn over direction. What we're doing is we're using our aggression in a good way. Now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, it means that we now have a mission. We're on a mission. Now, whether that mission is to move away from people, places, or things that we've now identified are sucking the life out of us, or whether it is a mission to pursue a new passion, a new direction, and a new desire, that's up to you, okay? Depending on where it is that you're at in your process, that might manifest in different ways. Regardless, it's the same warrior, no bullshit kind of attitude that we all need in order to make a change. This is like rebellion at its finest for all the right reasons. This is us understanding that we have to make a move. We have to be disciplined. We have to be determined. We have to be on a hell-bent path in order for change to actually take place. This is where a new purpose arises, where new desires are defined. This is when the suppressed energy of feeling the fears, the doubts, the insecurities, the pain, the trauma, all of these not so nice things come to a head, and we're going to say, you know what? F it. I'm using this whole freaking list of negative thoughts and feelings as inspiration and as motivation to light a fire under my ass and to keep it lit in my heart space so that I don't stay in the same spot, that I do whatever I can to move away from said whatever or closer to whatever. We're on a mission. We now have a different energy taking over to help us actually make the moves to pursue a brand new direction and path. Again, many of us might not know what the future holds, but we sure as hell know what we're moving away from. We know who we don't want to be anymore. We know who we don't want to be with, who we don't want to be around. We know what we don't want to be doing. And that in itself builds a beautiful framework on the path and the direction that we need to take to get away from all of this. So just keep in mind that we're going to be fueled up, fired up in all the right ways, but how you manifest that energy could be reckless or it could be very beautiful. It's up to you to have the emotional and intellectual discipline needed in order to understand how this energy is being projected through your body out into the world. The moon is going to bump into Neptune in a positive way, which is a good thing because it reminds us of our dreams, of our vision, of this new mission, of the purpose that we're going to be fighting so hard to actually bring to life. But it happens just as the moon is going to square Chiron. This is not a good feeling. This is, again, struggling with the weight of the world, the roles and the responsibilities, our prior commitments. This is recognizing where it is that, this feels heavy, this feels gross. Again, we need to be reminded of the not so nice thoughts and feelings in order for us to recognize what needs our attention and focus the most to change the fastest. This needs to happen. This is where Negative Nancy tries to lead the parade. This is where we might fall off that earlier energy of having that warrior-like attitude to just blaze a path forward. This is when we start, again, maybe speaking fear into our dreams. The moon is going to square Mars, okay? So this is like anger, frustration. We want everything yesterday. The moon in Capricorn has a high level of responsibility in the here and now to clean up the mess of the past before we go jumping into something new. Mars doesn't care about the past. Mars doesn't even care about the now. Mars just wants to move forward. That can be a conflict. We could get super angry about the fact that things aren't happening fast enough, that we don't actually know the exact move to make, that we don't know how to bring some of our dreams and visions into fruition. This could get a little bit jittery. This could get a little bit tense. This could get a little bit edgy. Be mindful of your energy. The moon is going to go ahead and bump into Mercury in not the nicest way. Let me just give you a caution. Right now, with the energy in the way that it's at, many of us not as aware as we should be on how we're actually projecting this energy out into the world. This particular situation could have us speaking very angrily, very aggressively, very pushy, very bossy, very authoritative. That might not be the best tone to take at this particular point in time. But this is how the energy manifests. We have to act as the observer so that we can see where it is festering up within us so that we can rewrite the narrative. The moon trines Uranus. This ends the day off. This is a beautiful energy because what it means is that we've reached a little bit of a boiling point in our mental plane and in our energy. And what happens from that, especially reviewing the day of all the ups and downs and and, where we were brave and bold and ready to make a move. And then when we were blocked doing that, and the frustration and the anger that arose, and hopefully we caught ourselves before we popped off and spoke out of turn to other people. But this particular energy means that this is an aha moment. This is like a, damn, I get it now. This is like the universe saying, okay, here's another piece of the puzzle. You handled yourself well. Here's a little reward for that. And what happens is that this Uranian energy is an aha moment. It's like a light bulb switches on. We open our mind up. We see where change is needed. We adapt to that change a lot quicker. And suddenly we identify where it is that we have to be a little bit more bold, a little bit more brave, a little bit more determined to clean up the mess of the roles and responsibilities that we've now identified are sucking the life out of us and holding us back, in order for us to have a clean slate to actually move forward. Again, keep in mind this Uranian energy, Uranus rules over Aquarius. So there's a lot of commonalities there. Meaning, while the moon is in Capricorn, we have to identify our restrictions, our blocks, our obstacles, the roles and responsibilities that are sucking the life out of us, what we don't want to deal with anymore. And then we move into the Aquarian energy that Uranus rules over, and suddenly there's a shock to the system. We know where there's a change needed. We know where we need to be free and liberated and find more freedom and do things differently and dance to the beat of our own drum.